Okay, so hello. Thank you, Kathy, for introducing us and our title. And this, the Sustainability Superheroes is part of a grant that we received recently from the Coca-Cola Foundation. And we're looking at helping our students to better understand how we solve these big problems. There are some big, messy problems in the world, and we are looking at ways in which we can use interdisciplinary literacy as a way to help students understand and solve problems. Let's take, for example, the littering problem. It's not always easy to solve problems because here's a real world scenario of sustainability. A government agency sets up a commission and gets different experts to come in to try to solve the problem of littering. And the first speaker is an economist, and the economist identifies the possibility of litter taxes being introduced. And that's a quantification tool that the economist uses, and they talk about choices and incentives. And so we could either have possible, taxes or fines. Then the second speaker comes up, and the second speaker is a sociologist. And the sociologist identifies littering as associated with a lack of sense of ownership of community spaces. And then they use the analytical tools of interviews and observations and the biases and heuristics that are currently in style with disciplinary journals and perhaps conferences. And the third speaker is an engineer who notes that waste management systems that are in place and highlights how those systems can be changed. They bring their own analytical tools, which are charts and tables and design thinking for the engineer. And then what we end up having in the scenario, the commission asks the experts to work together to come up with a solution. However, this is where the problem really begins, is the disciplinary expertise that, that allowed them to contribute threatens to then drive them apart. And another elephant in the room, of course, is standards-based curriculum. How do we work with these real-world topics that require an interdisciplinary approach when we have standards-based curriculum that sees all of these disciplines in these very big specific silos? And that's why we're trying to look at literacy as communication and really look at a broader perspective of literacy, which allows us to help those different disciplines communicate with each other and actually look at real world problems, not just very specific standard-based things. So we also are invested heavily in looking at social emotional learning because we want our students to really look at themselves and their self-management, social awareness, and relationship skills and make responsible decisions in society, where we are really focused on for global literacy, we are focused on the global goals and which are the Sustainable Development Goals, otherwise known as the SDGs, so that we could ground all of our problems in local and global issues that are impacting people today. We are also looking at our model of interdisciplinary literacy, which looks at 21st century skills, where we look at those foundational literacies, competencies, and character qualities, which are all essential in developing full students who can solve global problems. And because of our work with the Patel College for Global Sustainability, we've been using a lot more of different areas such as systems thinking, where we're looking at guiding students to looking at root causes of problems through a model of system thinking. And looking at the ways in which some of our students have been looking at these things is we've been using some Shark Tanks with many of our teachers who have been doing this in the classroom. And they're looking at ways in which how they can solve a problem and consider the sustainability aspects of the products we develop. This was from an economics class where students were tasked with creating a business plan for a resort. Using sustainability meant they considered the SDGs in all of their plans. This one particular used hydropower on an island, and it didn't have a cash system. They had a cashless credit society. Students don't know where we get food. They don't know any idea about the supply chain and the systems that actually exist for us to get the food from farm to table. And these kind of activities help students develop a better understanding of the systems thinking approach in our everyday lives. Also, from gardens to composting, how do we make this circular economy where we use our waste to make our trash, to make our treasures? And getting students to talk about this and conduct research across disciplines has become very important for us in all of the work we're doing with our teachers. Also, again, what do we do with all that garbage? Students will be in charge of recycling, not only at their school, but in their community. And then they conduct research on the impacts, and they design some public service announcements to teach other people about the important work they're doing and the important work we need to do. A teacher quote from one of the recent projects we had was, I think this is one of the best lessons of the year. This is all about project-based learning. Kids like to pursue a project they feel passionate about for a long period of time, and they went through the engineering design cycle, and as soon as they saw the video, they jumped up and down with ideas for their decisions. And students just want to keep working on this stuff. This makes it supportive and collaborating on a level that is rare to see, using the tools and everything they could find. The teacher said they were so engaged. It's an overused word, but this was real. It was beautiful. It was organic and connected. And that's the end.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Excellent presentation. And for those of you that I think that the Stavros Center was highlighted earlier today in our College of Education. So this is yet another example of the work that is done through that awesome center. So it looks like LaSonia has a question for you, Deborah.
Okay, Lasagna?
I do. Thank you, Deborah.
Okay.
I first and foremost want to say thank you for your presentation. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Your work is an extremely multimodal work with a variety of phases. As an exceptional education and, of course, leadership leader, I'm intrigued as to how your work how you've done such amazing work connecting literacy. How has that also connected to leadership across disciplines? And has it connected with the community and community partners as well as leaders to impact any change in policy that focuses on social emotional development?
Absolutely. We, Sherry and I have been working for, with the Stavros Center. We work with all of our local school districts and with the school supervisors. And when we do our workshops, we confer with them so that we make sure that the things that we're doing are in line with what they want to do. And all of these workshops that we create and we do with teachers, we work together with those school districts. So they are in line with everything that we're doing at the Stavros Center.
And I want to add to that in the last couple of years, as we enveloped social emotional learning into the curriculum that we're enhancing, that has provided opportunities to put a little more of a focus on those leadership skills. It's hard for kids to learn how to be good leaders and collaborators if they don't have empathy, if they don't have sympathy, if they don't know how to work with others that they may not know. And so that's been a really nice guiding force for the literature that we choose and the way we choose to go with some of our programs.
Absolutely. And there's one like magic thing that I think that I found in every classroom that we've worked with. It's just asking the students, what do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think? And then they will tell you what they think, and then they're engaged and they are going to do something about it.
And just to follow up on that, have you been able to connect all of your research and all of your work on a global level in an effort to support your teachers on a community level?
Most of what we're doing right now is we're trying to connect them with communities, and we look at community services, but we also are doing some webinars where we're teaching, where we're introducing some global children's literature to the teachers and we had a series with global literature, and which were literature books from different countries that looked at the global goals in terms of, and we're looking at ideas in equity, so it's all about, it's not just about profit, it's about people and planet, and we need the people and planet together to make our lives meaningful.
Right, and just to connect that literature, yeah, we used The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, we used The Recycling Women of Ghana, and we used One Hen. So that was a series of 3 that we did that highlighted entrepreneurship, social interactivism, empowering women as entrepreneurs. So those are larger scope pieces of literature that we wanted to use to bring that picture in a larger scope area.
Thank you, ladies, for sharing so much. I'm really interested in your research. Very
Likewise.
Looks like, Dana, we probably have time maybe for one more quick question. We're running a little over time, but Dana, I saw your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just make a quick comment. And obviously, as I'm looking at your presentation and listening to you, there is so much synergistic overlap with the work that we're doing as well, too.
Yeah.
Both in terms of responsible decision making, and that's how I think about scientific literacy, and the fact that you've broadened the notion of STEM. I wrote an article a while back called STEM a Deficit Framework, a Sociocultural Response, because it cleaved off the sociocultural context with which we learn. And that's what I'm trying to infuse back into things. And it looks like you're doing the same thing. So maybe we should have a conversation someday.
Absolutely. Yes. Very
Thanks,
soon.
Dana. Dana, and I want you to know I work with Milt Euling every day at Polk State College. He sends his regards.
Thank you. Yeah, Milt's a great graduate from our Ph.D. program and a great educator. So thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana, for your comment. And Dana, you hit the nail on the head with that comment, because that is exactly what I always hope comes out of this type of a Pecha Kucha event. That we find out that, oh my gosh, I had no idea that this person that is in my same college, who, I've probably passed and talked to informally, for years, that you have a connection there, that you have an overlap in your research and interests. So, and I can see overlap with our literacy faculty, with our psychology, school psychology faculty around social emotional learning. I mean, I think there's all kinds of overlaps and common interests here. So that's exactly what I hope from that. So this is awesome. Thank you so much, Deborah, for your presentation. Thank you for Sherry for being here and for also contributing to the comments and questions.